All right, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video on the world's absolute best E55 known to mankind. Pristine quality. This is, if I sold this thing on Bring a Trailer, I'd probably bring in $80,000 just because of its high quality, you know, things. But all jokes aside, basically today's video, I just want to do a little update on the car. I might do a video for each car individually that I have, but for this one right now, this is of course the star of everything I've done. This is the car that really brought the channel up where it is. So I wanted to give you guys an update on everything wrong with it still, things that I fixed, and kind of where I'm gonna be with this car. Like what is left? What are we doing on this thing? And I mean, there's a lot, but kind of like an update video, I guess you can say. So let's kind of just hop in it. So kind of a little bit of a history thing on the car. Bought this car about 3 years ago, in May of 2021. I won it from Copart for $4,000 plus fees and everything was around like 5,500 bucks. And it showed up, ran and drove. It was a salvage title, but it was vandalized. Somebody had poured acid all over the car and it needed a full repaint. So then I ended up dropping it off at Mako to get a paint job because I was broke at the time and didn't really have money to, you know, have it painted good. So I dropped it off for like a $1,500 paint job. And then I went to Bulgaria for a month. Came back, the car was done. Looked terrible, but it was better than it, you know, being all covered in acid and whatnot. So that was good. And then I just started doing small stuff. You guys remember the transmission went out on me in August of that year. It ended up being the conductor plates, which we did a video on, replacing the conductor plates, servicing the trans and everything. And then the car was fine at that point for a while. You know, we drove it around, tried racing it a couple times. It never really ran how it's supposed to. I don't think it ever made power, like even more, like the same amount of stock, because it just never ran right. But then eventually in October of 22, or no, hold on, we got to backtrack a little bit. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought of this. In March, yes, March of 22, the transmission went out. It just said, I'm out, goodbye. Clutches, I forgot what it was, but it was something. I had it rebuilt. It's got a rebuilt transmission. Now it's got like 5,000 miles on it already. And then I started driving it again. After it sat at my house probably for like 4 months, so till like July, maybe June or July. And then we ended up rebuilding the transmission. And then in October of 22, I crashed the car. If you guys remember that, I ended up crashing it on the highway. Guy cut me off, braked really hard, and I couldn't stop, so I rear-ended him. And then it just went under the knife. At that point, because of how the hood had folded in, it cracked the not the transmission, but it cracked the, here, actually, I'll pop the hood. Much better now that you guys can see. So if you guys remember, the hood folded in and it destroyed the pulley. I had a 77mm clutch pulley, destroyed that, destroyed a lot of everything up here, and then it actually destroyed the timing, the oil filter housing on the timing cover. But exactly where it cracked itself in half was the part that's connected to the timing cover, because this comes off, this top part comes off. It's two parts, but of course it cracked right underneath the part where they both meet, so I had to replace the timing cover. Now to do the timing cover, if you guys know anything, you either pull the heads off or the oil pan. It's one of the two. And at this point, my dad was like, you know what, it's at the shop, let's just pull the motor and rebuild it, because it had 190-ish thousand miles. He was like, let's just pull it apart and see what it looks like. Since we're gonna have the timing cover off anyways, let's just do it. And then of course, you know, that is like a snowball. You tell yourself it's gonna be one thing and then it just snowballs into a whole ordeal. So at that point into the car, I probably had 10 grand, maybe 10 grand. At that point before I crashed it. And then of course with all the parts, I had to get a new bumper from Souvenir, that was 800. I had to get headlights from Spider, which that was about 400 and actually 300 and something ish dollars. So we're at about 1100. That's at like, we'll say 11,000 at that point. I had to get a new radiator, new supports, everything. The whole rebuild, not counting motor stuff, probably was another like 1,500 bucks, not counting the stuff for the motor. And then I had to get a timing cover. Timing cover was $500 from Mercedes, OEM from Germany. I had a special order. It came from Germany. And that's the only place you could buy, unless you're buying used. But I wasn't buying a used timing cover, because you guys know these motors also have the O-rings for the coolant passages on the back of the timing cover, where it basically just splits. If the O-rings go bad, it'll mix coolant and oil. So I bought a new one, new O-rings and everything. I was like, might as well do it. And then my dad pulled the bottom end off and he was like, hey, the bearings are fine, but we should replace them because they look like they have some wear on them. I was like, fuck it, let's do it. The problem was I said that, and then I realized very quickly that you can't buy bearings for an M113K. Yeah, Mercedes doesn't build them anymore. At the time, this was, mind you, January of 23, maybe February, or January. VRP, by the way, VRP, if you guys want any kind of parts, use my code EVOGT, 8% off. VRP at the time didn't have the bearings out yet that they do now. They didn't have them out at the time, so I had to do something because the car was on the lift and the motor was all taken apart. So I went to Mercedes and I bought bearings from an M113 from a SLK 55 AMG. So the same motor, just not supercharged. It was a natural aspirated one, which, well, they've worked. It started making some noise on the bottom end, but it's not because of the bearings, it's because of what I did, and I'll get to that in a second. But we bought bearings, rebuilt it. I bought new pistons, new con bearing, or new con rods, new pistons, the heads, everything was new. Head gasket, absolutely everything. This motor got resealed, everything is new on it. And I even had the heads ported. So the cylinder heads have been ported. And then I had to get a new pulley for the supercharger because I was like, well, it's dead. Actually, I had to get a new supercharger because when the impact hit, it destroyed the front bearings. This, and to this day, you know, I even said in the video, Phil from VRP, the owner of VRP, I messaged him and he sent me a free supercharger. He didn't ask me to pay him. He just literally responded with, what's your address? Send me your address. I texted him my address and he sent me a whole supercharger. So thank you. That was appreciated, because these things are not cheap. They're like $500-600 used on eBay. So I got one of them from him. I also upgraded the throttle body up to an 82 millimeter. The other one was a 80. I put an 82 on it from like an S550 or something. And then I ended up going with a DTK 77 fixed millimeter pulley. And of course, I got retuned by Tony at Race IQ because it's fixed now. And ever since then, I mean, I've put like 3,000 miles on the motor and I caused damage to the bearings again. It's my fault, not because of the bearings themselves, but because of me. This was bad, right? The oil filter, the plastic oil filter thing was bad. And my cheap, dumb mindset was, well, I could order one and wait for it to come in. It was like $300 from Mercedes. Or I have this engine from a 2007 S600 at my house, V12, and oh my God, this looks the same. I'm just gonna use that. It's not the same. So I put it in, it worked fine. I mean, it closed itself and it didn't leak. I was like, let's go. Started the car up, ran it for 20 minutes, and all of a sudden it started knocking. Yeah, so by the way, the one on the V12 is, I think it was too long or too short to where it just wasn't building oil pressure. And it sounds weird, but basically this just wasn't, there was something going on where there wasn't a good amount of oil pressure being built, and the motor started knocking. So now it does have rod knock, or a bearing is knocking, and it's going under the knife soon. In the next probably month, I have bearings on order from VRP, the special coated ones. So they were kind of expensive, like $500, but they're coming now. And I think in about a month we're gonna tear this thing apart again, or not the whole thing, but just the bottom end. Got to pull the subframe end and pull the bottom oil pan off so we can do the rod bearings. I'm just gonna do all of them. Main bearing should be fine. I mean, hopefully it's not the main bearings that are knocking. I think it's just the rod, or yeah, one of the rods, but we'll see. But yeah, that's about everything I've done. Oh, and then the ice tank that we put into it. So honestly, at this point, I think I have like 15-16 grand into this thing. Is it worth 15 or 16 grand? No, it's not even close. Let's just do some math. It's got 193,000 miles on the body. It's got a rod knock, which will be fixed soon. It's got salvage title or rebuilt title. And well, I've owned it, which doesn't add to the value of this car. It's probably worth like 7-8 grand if I tried selling it, maybe. Oh, and I got it rewrapped. That cost me more. That cost me $1,200 to wrap the car, which I know sounds cheap. I bought the wrap myself, and I had a friend of mine do it where he was just getting into wrap. So that's why it's not perfect, but it's good for what kind of car it is. Now, I wouldn't, if this was like a 2018 E63 that's perfect, I probably wouldn't have him wrap it, but because it's the E55, he wrapped it. And it's China blue. Really pretty color. I don't plan on taking this off anytime soon. It's been about a year since it got wrapped, a year and a few months. But yeah, let me know. You know, with everything that I've said today, again, the rod bearing issue thing will get fixed in about a month. I don't want to hide anything from you guys. I'm honest with you guys about where I'm at with the car. Unfortunately, I wish it didn't have rod knock. It's not horrible, but you can hear it. Like it's very minuscule, but you can hear the rod knock. When it's cold, there's no rod knock. When the car's cold, there's zero rod knock. When it gets up to temperature and everything, then at idle you can hear it. When you rev the car, it's not there, but at idle you can hear the rod knock. So it's gonna get redone. And yes, it is rod knock. It's not the supercharger. You can hear the supercharger itself, but it is rod knock, and it's gonna get fixed. I can't not fix it. So that will get fixed. But that's really where we're at today. It's December of 2024. I've had the car for about 3.5 years now. It has been by far the biggest pain in the butt that I've ever had in terms of an automobile. But I wouldn't sell this car. I do not want to sell this car. I love the thing. I mean, I've done a bunch of stuff to it. I've put newer E63 mirrors on it, E63 seats. It's got an E63 steering wheel now, which I still can't figure out why the steering angle sensor won't work, but we'll figure that out too. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Steering angle sensor doesn't work, so when you try to floor it, the ESP malfunction light is on constantly, so it like tries to bring the car into the highest gear, keeps putting it into fifth. You really can't even floor it, like won't let you. And also, I had a major battery issue with this car where it would just keep killing the battery. It turned out to be one of the fuses in the trunk. I pulled the fuse and it stopped taking amperage. It was for the socket in the back. You know, the 12 volt lighter socket, not the one in the front, but on the back seats under the climate controls. It was that one. I don't know why or what, but now it's fine. And also there was a small draw from the vacuum pump for the seats. That's been disconnected because the seats don't really work all that well because like I've said before, the guy that sold me these 6.3 seats, I got shafted on them, but it is what it is. So yeah, next thing for this car, obviously the rod knock, that's priority number one. That's gonna get fixed soon. And then I really want to redo the interior. So you guys know I put that video out where we got those white panels from a E350 to Zinio at the junkyard. They actually brought another one, and I was thinking about going today to get more because the driver's side panel has that tear on like the armrest, so I wanted to get one from there. Maybe I'll go next weekend or whatever. But also I need to go I want to go to the junkyard and get a steering angle sensor from one of the cars to see if that'll fix my issue, because I don't want to buy a new one. They're like 300 bucks, and I'm not sure if that's gonna fix it or if it's wiring or if it just needs to be calibrated or something. I don't know, but my Chinese Eccentric that I bought doesn't communicate with this car. I don't know why. It communicates with every other car I have. The CL, the ML that we have now, it communicates with all of them except this. It will not communicate with this dang car. It will communicate with some of the modules. It will not communicate with the ECU or the SBC, which is the ESP thing, which is what I need to calibrate. So I don't know what's going on, but whatever. And then also I want to redo the interior. So when I say the interior, the E63 seats and the rear seats, I want to have them redone in the sandstone beige that the doors are in. But I need to take the seats first to an upholsterer so they can redo the leather, because it's garbage. Like, it's disgusting. That leather is disgusting, but that's next up. And I've also bought a CLS 500 rear center console. I think I want to convert this car into basically a mini CLS where I want to make the rear seats buckets. I know it sounds weird, but I think it's gonna be cool. Stay tuned for all that, because that will be coming. We'll see how it works, because I've seen an E55 with those kind of seats before and it looked really cool. And I just think I want to do it because I don't really give people rides in this car. If I ever have somebody, it's just one other person in the front seat. So I want to make my E55 unique out of all the other E55s in the world. So let me know down below, what do you guys think about the E55? I love this car to death. I'm not selling it. It's not going anywhere. And the rod knock has just been pissing me off as much as it can. I mean, it just started recently, and it's just been, it has been just a pain in my butt. Or not recently, but you guys get what I'm saying. I've been avoiding driving the car as much as I can. I haven't enjoyed it because of the rod knock. Well, I also couldn't enjoy it because for half the year it sat outside my house because I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't rev or why the gas pedal didn't work. But we figured that out part out. So that's where we're at with my most problematic child, the E55. And I just slowly I'm getting this car to where I want it to be. Eventually my main goal is to go Whipple, like the Whipple supercharger from VRP. Do that and just let this thing scream and go crazy, because I finally want to be able to mash the throttle and then just feel like it's an actual E55 and not just a E500. So let me know down below, what do you guys think about the E55? If you guys have any tips or anything for the stuff I'm dealing with, if you do, let me know. But stay along, because this car's not going anywhere and we have a lot more work to do to it. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.